Look out, people. The evil Terminator robots are coming for you. Ukraine has unleashed artificial intelligence upon the world. And as we know, the artificial intelligence always rebels. As far as I can tell, I would theorize that true artificial intelligence would always rebel and turn on its creators. That is a good way of defining what truly sentient is. It has a mind of its own. Anyway, let's look at this ridiculous article from Fox. Ukraine gained advantage in war against Putin with custom-built AI. Unprecedented testing ground. Now, as you perhaps can tell, I'm extremely skeptical. Okay, Ukraine has developed and implemented its own AI platforms, plural, under the most stringent conditions to create something beyond what Western militaries have considered possible. You know, the Ukrainians are always doing things that are amazing and just out of this world stuff, man. Doing a ton of stuff. I mean, this innovation on the battlefield, no idea the innovation that's taking place. They can't keep up with it. The Ukrainians are moving too fast. AI has played a significant role in how Ukraine has managed to perform so well against a blah 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 Russia. Has Ukraine performed well? Well, not really. They are on their 12th mobilization wave. They've long since been recruiting young people and old people and sending women to the front. And, you know, first 11 mobilization waves were 100,000 people. Where did that 1,100,000 people go? Well, I'm only exaggerating slightly. A lot of them are wounded, but basically they're all dead. UJ-22 airborne reconnaissance drones ready to land during the test flight. Okay. So, we can go through this, but they're talking about how Ukraine has AI. It has AI in their drones. And they've got things like AI-enhanced autonomous capabilities in flight, targeting, and firing. Basically, none of this is true. Now, Russia has something called the Lancet drone, which is said to have AI that allows it to find targets that it can hit. So you send it into an area, and it says, well, anything that looks like a tank or an air defense system or a piece of military equipment, I can blast into. Because my troops aren't here, so it must be the enemy's. Now, the West is skeptical that Russia has these capabilities. Why is the West skeptical? The West is skeptical because the West doesn't have that kind of technology yet. They're working on it, but they don't have it yet. And of course, primitive Russia can't possibly be ahead of the West, so therefore, this is just impossible. But what we're seeing here is it's implied that these are run by AI, right? So they talk for a while about AI platforms. These would be in garages. They talk about the stuff being in gremlin garages. And they talked about maybe buying something commercial off the shelf, but they designed their own. Is this happening to some extent? Perhaps. I mean, I work at a corporation that wanted to delve into AI, and they could barely make a chat bot that was incredibly annoying. This isn't really a thing. Let's just kind of imagine what's being suggested here. So they talk about AI vision with cameras, and they talk about targeting. They talk about, for example, here, the screenshots from Google Maps from resistance forces in the occupied territories. The amount of messages is really too huge. We decided to automate this. So they're basically suggesting that they can use Google Maps to track people's faces and track down people suspected of war crimes. And they even talk about using satellite and AI to determine what's a Shahed drone or what's a missile. This is just really ridiculous. That's not how Google works. Do I think that Ukraine is getting satellite photos? Yes, I'm sure they're getting satellite photos. Where are they getting satellite photos from? They're getting them from the CIA and from the United States military. They may also be getting some satellite from other European countries. But this is just silly. They're talking about amount of messages from resistance forces, and this all being automated. So, I can't tell you that Ukraine doesn't have some kind of an NSA hoovering up of text messages and such things, and they might have keyword searches for it. But I doubt that. Nothing about the way that Ukraine is fighting is telling me that they have advanced targeting, anything like this. And they've got GPS coordinates. We now use name and recognition and object character recognition. We selected GPS coordinates, location, date. We have a lot of data from the different sources. Once they've started to attack Ukraine, we understood the best method to actually identify those Shahed drones and other general recognition. Question. Do you capture kamikaze drones on a satellite in real time and then use that to interface with your air defense? None of this is happening, guys. None of this is happening. This technology helped Ukrainian troops distinguish between blah 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 and Saturn missiles. Also helped targeting and efficiency of guided laser bombs. What is a guided laser bomb? Do they mean a laser guided bomb? So that's poor editing. Does Ukraine have a lot of laser guided bombs? Not really. They've got Storm Shadows, which operate off GPS. They've got HIMARS missiles, which operate off GPS. They've been giving JDAMs missiles, which operate off GPS. They've got these small diameter bombs attached to rockets, which operate off GPS. They're a smaller version of the JDAM. I don't think Ukraine has many. They probably have a few from maybe Britain or somewhere. They don't really have laser-guided bombs. Laser-guided munitions are being used by Russia successfully. Okay, they're talking about ripping apart iPhones and attaching them to what's called Raspberry Pi devices, which can create a designated and targeting system. I'm not going to try to parse what a designated targeting system is. They're talking about not making drones. They're talking about attaching parts from other commercial items and attaching them to drones. By the way, they don't make drones either. They buy drones from China. China has recently stopped this because Russia's their friend and probably doesn't want to see their drones on the battlefield for a variety of reasons. And they get military-grade drones donated by the United States and Britain and others. For example, they have these supposed aquatic drones, basically torpedo boats. Those are known to have been made by the UK and possibly by the United States. So when you see these attacks by these naval drones in Sevastopol, not Ukrainian made. None of this is Ukrainian made, guys. And then they talk about these things being flown by AI. It's like, okay, well, why do you need 10,000 military personnel that need to learn to fly these drones if these things are autonomous? They're just not. By the way, Ukraine is losing about 10,000 of these drones a month. We can look that up real quick. Yep, New York Post and others, I believe. Business Insider. I forget who was the original source. 10,000 drones a month, largely due to Russia's electronic warfare. By the way, the best counter to electronic warfare in a drone is AI. This is why the Lancet drones that Russia is using are so effective. They can't be jammed. So if Ukraine had AI drones, how are they losing so many? I don't know, this is just silly. So what's the narrative and why is this being pushed? The narrative is, first off, that AI is good. Not some horrible robot that's going to come kill us all, which I'm suggesting it would, because we've got these globalist transhumanists that just love technology. The older generation likes to be impressed by technology as well. You know, the boomers. They're like, oh, look at the cell phones. The cell phones are so amazing. And the young kids that have, I don't know, the tech people, they love to think, yeah, we're going to have all this technology in the future. I don't know if you've noticed, but most of our technology's actually stagnated for the last, I don't know, 20 years. So, for example, we can't make Stinger missiles anymore. So, Raytheon is asking retirees to come back to work to help make missiles. And what else can we not do? Can't go back to space. Oh, there's an awesome quote where basically the United States can't make space shuttles anymore. I don't have that source now. The point is that these are lies. They're trying to promote that technology, just for technology's sake, is good. And they're trying to suggest that Ukraine is this just center of technology. It's like Silicon Valley. These people are just wizards. And, you know, we give them a piece of equipment that's supposed to take 18 months to train on. You know, we say that we give them 6 weeks of training. They're out there, oh man, they're shooting these HIMARS and they're doing this and they're doing that. I mean, it takes 6 weeks to learn to drive the HIMARS. To actually launch the things and to repair them, that's a lot longer. So what's happening, actually? What's happening is you've got Western mercenaries and contractors, quote-unquote advisors, running these things. And not being super successful, by the way. And the West started some training a lot earlier than is being admitted to. But it's mostly just nonsense. You know, these Ukrainians are, they're just like 200 IQ people, and they've got all this fancy technology. You know, I've read more articles about how Russia can't make ball bearings. And their economy's just, they don't have any ball bearings. Their trains are going to break down because they can't make ball bearings. Guys, they went to space 70 years ago. They know how to make ball bearings. Ukraine, on the other hand, is actually a rather primitive country, actually. When was the last time you heard about some famous Ukrainian scientist, some famous Ukrainian computer programmer, some famous Ukrainian mathematician that solved some theorem? You don't hear about it. Why? Well, because this is farmland, and a lot of their money came from a pipeline that Russia is still pumping gas through, by the way. This is 9th of July 2023. Ukraine did not build that pipeline, and they can't repair it. It's Ukraine that doesn't have the ability to produce a lot of these things. That's why they need all this equipment from the West. That's not the only reason, but that's the main reason. Why is Ukraine fighting for the Donbass so hard? Ukraine is fighting for the Donbass because this is where the factories are. This is where the technology is. And this technology was built by Russia. That's why it's in this area. The money that has been coming into Ukraine for the last, we'll say 70 years, has been coming in this direction. Not this direction, where you've got, and no offense to these people, but poor and not very technologically savvy Romania, Poland, and these sorts of places. The technology and the richest plots of land are here on the east because of Russia, not the other way around. These news stories will tell you that Russia can't make helicopter engines because Ukrainian makes those. And no, Russia can't make helicopters. Right? I'm not going to look that up. Anyway, if people thought that Ukraine was a backwards place, they would be a lot less likely to support the war efforts and the hideously large amounts of money that are flowing into this place. This is a place that is notorious for its corruption. It's got oligarchs, organized crime, people trafficking, you name it. And yeah, they've got these extremist banderites, and that's who controls the country. If you were told that, you'd be a lot less likely to support this war effort.